This is Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. Rate us, review us, like, follow, and subscribe. All that other fun stuff. We are on Apple, Spotify, and of course YouTube. Don't forget to follow the social media accounts, including IG and the app formerly known as Twitter. I'm here with my guy, Mr. Andrew Webster. My name is Sheldon Alexander. We're here for another week of talking hoops on the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. Mr. Webster, how you doing, my friend?
We have turned the page from another era of NBA to the new era of the NBA after we're coming to you live on Friday, January 30th. Thursday night, January 29th. Cooper Flag, Con Knipple. Just a duel for the ages.
The faces of USA Duke basketball 2028 in LA.
Hey, the Duke boys were balling out last night, man. Listen, we've talked a little bit about Cooper Flag already on this show. It's just unbelievable to see like the winding back of the clock to be able to put up what he had like 49 points, and he's not shooting threes.
He's just nice, man.
He's just nice. And Con Knipple, I've always kind of liked this Hornets team. Like, Miles Bridges is a terrible person, but he's a very talented basketball player. Lonzo Ball's or LaMelo Ball, very, very talented basketball player. They have pieces. They just kind of needed that like central cog figure, and Con Knipple, man. This whole who's the Raptors guy? When he got drafted by the Raptors. He's been nice.
On the Hornets?
No, on the Raptors. Who's the Raptors rookie?
Oh, Colin Murray Boyles.
CMB. He's been nice.
Yeah.
And Edgecombe's been sick. Like, it's a really good Harper. This is a really good rookie class. That's just kind of what I've been observing the last, week. Well, I guess 2 weeks. I wasn't here last week.
Yeah, Raptors doing well, rookies doing well in the NBA. Lots going on for sure. And I mean, you mentioned what's going on in, some of your rookies there that you're following. Interesting times in the Eastern Conference. And we start, I guess, with the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, Immanuel Quickley.
A guy we had thrown dirt on.
Well, here's the thing that I find very interesting, right? So again, Quickley named Player of the Week after averaging 25 points per game on 61% shooting. So this was part of this Raptors road trip in which Immanuel Quickley had a really, really good road trip. And you mentioned the last time me and you spoke, we were talking about, the ups and downs of Immanuel Quickley and, just his name being in trade rumors. And this dates back for the majority of the season when you go back to the Trae Young stuff, to the Ja Morant stuff, and just essentially, do the Raptors need to make an upgrade at the point guard spot? And last week, I think I touched on it a little bit last week, but after one of the games, he dropped a 40 spot on the Warriors. And in the post game, Michael Grange was like, I'm pretty sure it was Michael Grange that asked a question, but he asked him essentially, hey, you've been red hot on this road trip, like blah, blah, and Quickley just stopped him and interjects. And he's like smiling. And he's like, no. I tell you guys all the time, this isn't about being hot. Like it's not about being hot and cold. And, he's like, I keep it even keel. And, he's trying to like downplay the talk when it's like, bro, you're not out here winning Eastern Conference Player of the Weeks. Like, you don't have a stash of trophies. You know what I mean? You're not dropping 40 pieces. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but we're also watching the games, bro. Like, you are a streaky player. And that's like, listen, that's the NBA. That's the league. Like, we get it. But the way that I want to ask you this, because we're still talking about the trade deadline, and I'm not necessarily even talking about Quickley in particular, but just if we go across the NBA and like kind of mindsets, do you think as the deadline nears and a player like hears their name in trade talks, Do you think that kind of affects some dudes where they'll just start balling because they're like, wait a second, I don't want to get traded, right? And it's like, kind of like a reality check almost gets put in there. And I'm not talking about Quickley in particular, but I just mean like it has to be tough, right? Dealing with the trade rumors.
How can it not? And with the NBA as a sport and the personalities of these players, not wearing equipment over their faces, we get to know them very well. Their personalities are out there. I would think that, anytime your name is, kind of bandied about on team websites, it's not like these guys are robots. Like, they're obviously on social media. They're consuming the content that we're consuming as well. And how could it not affect your mentality going into games? Now, I couldn't tell you if, the uptick in Quickley's game is directly correlated to his name being in it, but it's got to play a little bit of a part. Yeah, but it's got to play a little bit of a part. Like everything that you consume then comes out in what you create. And on the court, he's been creating. Now, the interesting thing to think about is this uptick in play for Quickley because he wants to show the Raptors what they'd miss, or is he putting on these displays of offense for potential suitors to say, hey, maybe we could use Quickley here. So it's an interesting thing. But with the way the Raptors are playing, I think it would be the former. I think it would be, because he wants to stay because the Raptors are playing so well.
Yeah, I think he likes it here. And I think obviously the Raptors showed a commitment in him in giving him, signing him to that new deal and the extent, or I guess re-signing him because he was on an expiring contract when he got here. But I think Immanuel Quickley, the interesting side of this season has been the fact that obviously Scotty Barnes is having a great year. Obviously Brandon Ingram has had a great year. Yak's been out for the majority of the year. RJ's played great when he's been there, but the obvious thing when you watch the Raptors, if you're talking about like flaws, let's say, like, I guess I should phrase it this way. Scotty's been consistent. BI's been consistent. And from the guys who are playing that you're paying money to, Immanuel Quickley's been the most inconsistent. And I think that's where a lot of the talk comes from. And when you're talking about the trade deadline and there's moves to be made because the Raptors got to get under the salary cap or the tax threshold. You look at what are you going to do with RJ Barrett, who's heading into the final year of his contract next year. And you look at the potential dudes who could be moved to save you money. It's really only Jakob who's hurt and Immanuel Quickley. So that's what makes it really tough. But as we continue to talk about the deadline here, right?
No, you wouldn't put RJ Barrett in that group.
I think RJ definitely is in that group as well. Yeah, no, definitely, right? Like RJ's in that group as well, but he's the expiring contract, right? Like, well, would be next year expiring contract, but the contracts to kind of move out because what are you going to do with RJ? Do you re-sign him? Now, I've been in the camp of I would re-sign RJ and I'd figure out how to move off of Jakob Poeltl or Immanuel Quickley. I would keep RJ. But I mean, again, that's a story for another day, a story for people much smarter than us to figure out the cap and all that and how that's going to work. Mention though, Quickley having a great week, named player of the week. Obviously that coincided with the Raptors also having a good week, ended a 4-1 road trip, 4 straight wins, big time dub against OKC. They were rolling. They came back home and had a big showdown with the Knicks. And it went well for about a half. And then the second half, not so much. Bridges scored 19 of his 30 in the third quarter. Cat had a season high 22 rebounds. Knicks extended their win streak to 4. And the interesting thing there is there's so much talk about the Knicks and they're on a 4-game win streak, but there's still, that doesn't really quiet the noise in terms of what's wrong with the Knicks. And you're looking at 2 teams here where the Knicks had all the expectations, right? Like being finals favorites for the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptors, it was kind of like a wild card. Who knows what's going on here? But they're right battling each other for playoff spots. And when you look at these 2 teams, Webby, I don't know how much you caught of that game, but if you're the New York Knicks, how are you feeling about your squad in relation to the expectations right now?
Well, it's so funny that we're talking about the New York Knicks and expectations, because these expectations have only been there for, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Before that, there was no expectations. But you're in New York City, the mecca of basketball, MSG, the whole deal. You've made these moves to bring in Cat and
Bridges
and Mike Brown, the coaching change as well. So the thing is that, I mean, as an outsider, if you weren't in the an Eastern Conference, watcher, and you look at the Knicks or even watch a random Knicks game, you'd be like, that's one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
But because that they're not asserting their dominance, and because of the market that they're in, then you get all the writers saying, well, what needs to change? Do we get rid of Cat? Do we, was that Bridges, or was getting rid of the Towns trade, a mistake? Can we correct it by bringing in Giannis? The Knicks are one of the teams that he's really interested in joining.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
But to me, I mean, they're meeting expectations, and the expectations for the New York Knicks don't really start until April and May. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
With what they can do in the playoff spot, and they're going to have a high playoff seed. They're going to be hosting game 7s at MSG if they keep playing the way they have been. I think that win against Toronto, because did that snap a losing streak for the Knicks? Were they on?
No, the Knicks are on a winning streak.
They're on a winning streak. So
they were on a bad downturn coming in. Like they've won 4 in a row, but at the time, like just before that little run, because remember they played the Nets. I think the Nets were the team that served the
right?
No, they beat the Nets. The Nets got smoked, and that was kind of the slump buster. The Nets. For the Knicks. And so that's kind of turned their fortunes around.
If I'm a Knicks fan, I'm not pushing the panic button. And I'm probably not pushing the panic button on a Giannis trade mid-season right now.
Okay.
Now, I could be way wrong, but
hold on. I want to get to Giannis in a bit. But while we're still talking kind of Knicks and Raptors and what's going on there in that game, and those two teams kind of battling each other there, or you know what? I'm gonna follow your lead here. Let's get to Giannis. Let's get.
Follow your lead. It's the big elephant in the room right now.
Here's the thing, right? Shams doing his thing, promoting the trade deadline coverage. It's going to be flooding the airwaves on ESPN and on social media. Shams put out two-time MVP. Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home at the February 5th NBA trade deadline, or in the offseason, as several rival teams make aggressive offers to the Bucks for him, and the franchise is starting to listen. League sources tell ESPN. Listen, I know I talked about it a bit on last pod. I don't know if you caught it, but for our listeners out there, we were talking about like journalism and like sports and, just there's room for all of it, but just paying attention to what's being done here. So like Shams, the reason why I'm laughing is because I get that Shams obviously has information that he's putting out there, but you have to be able to read between the lines of what he's doing here, where he says he's ready for a new home at the February 5th deadline,
or not
in the offseason,
or not. It was the first thing I saw too. It was the
like,
first thing I saw too.
Haven't we been talking about this in this way for so long now? Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, well, are they going to trade him now? Is it going to be in the offseason? Was it last offseason? Was it at the start of this season? Was it at this trade deadline? Is it like, it's just the same thing over and over again. But let's play the game. And we'll stay with the Raptors first, okay? Should the Raptors make a big swing, and, the biggest of swing would be Giannis. The lesser of swings would be, you mentioned Domantas Sabonis. Anthony Davis last week. But the biggest of swings, should the Raps make a big swing here at Giannis?
I mean, shouldn't every team make a big swing at Giannis? A player like this. You said the last time we got together 2 weeks ago, you said that Giannis was in his prime right now. I don't I think he might be on the other side of his prime, maybe coming down the other side of the hill. But if this generational player, two-time MVP, NBA champion, one of the most dynamic players in the league becomes available, if you're the 30, 31 other teams in the league, shouldn't you all be deciding what your chips are to make a play to get to trade for him? I mean, yeah, the Raptors team is nice right now, but wouldn't Giannis in any capacity make your team now a 4 seed to, one of the
best teams,
top 2 favorite, the best team in the East? This is kind of, I know we'll probably get to it too, but the report that I was reading last night was that Giannis loves Tyrese Maxey and really wants to play with Tyrese Maxey. But it's like right now, like no, but like right now, you have to think, going back to the Raptors, what do you have to give up? And do you want to take kind of what's been building these last couple of years, crumple it up and say, okay, hey, we've got the chance to bring in Giannis. Let's do that. It's the same with every team that's going to be making this deal for him, because I don't think that the Bucks are going to let him go, especially mid-season, for a couple of picks and a guy who's, in a couple of expirings.
Yeah, and especially I think once you can get more in the offseason, right? Because you'll have so many more suitors because of the way the NBA calendar works, and when you can trade more draft picks. Like, I think it's a Heat. They might have 2 first-round picks that they can trade now, but if they wait until the draft, it becomes 4 picks they have, right? So it's like it doesn't really make much sense if I'm the Bucks to trade Giannis right now. I would wait till the offseason if that's what the move is. But also the other part of this, to me, from the Raptors' point of view, the reality is, right, if you're looking at this Raptors team right now, and we talked last week about how there's no pressure on Bobby Webster to make like a big move and make a big swing, and like he's not under pressure, right? The way that the Raptors are on a trajectory right now, that is up, right? Like the last couple years of the Raptors just in the tank and losing games at the end of the year, like that's not the same team that you're watching right now. This team has found their way where they're avoiding a play-in spot. And I think if you're everyone involved from the top of the organization, the top of the organization down, you're going to take that in this year, right? You're going to take that and say, hey, we got Scotty Barnes, we got Brandon Ingram. Now, with that said, they do have pieces to go get Giannis. And I think basically if you went to Milwaukee and you said, hey, anyone on our roster not named Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram are available, and we have a bunch of picks, obviously, if you're the Raptors, I feel like you can't turn that down. Now, where it comes into question is, obviously, if you're Milwaukee, you would assume that you'd want Scotty Barnes in any potential Giannis deal, which if you're the Raptors, that's a no-go, right? Like, I'm assuming. I'm not saying that I would never give up Scotty Barnes for Giannis, but I'm saying at this point where you have your team building, I don't think I would put.
I don't think that the franchise would be ready to do that.
I just don't see the
2 years ago
panic to do that.
2 years ago, yes. Even last year, maybe yes.
Oh yeah. Now I
not.
just think you have something where your best foot forward is just to keep building with the pieces that you have, right? And like you're gonna try to figure out a move to improve your team by, there's tweaks to be made with what you have with Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. And if those guys are healthy, if those guys are playing at the peak of their powers, you have something there. You have enough to try to build around a team, which me and you have talked about. The way that the NBA is going now, you do need to do a better job of building a team as opposed to relying just on like 3 stars and then patchwork. Right. So, I don't think the Raptors need to make a big swing for Giannis. I don't think they need to, but I wouldn't be mad if they did. Does that make sense?
It's the same thing with the Sixers, man. Because like obviously Edgecombe would be in that deal. Mm-hmm. Probably you're mortgaging every draft pick you have for the next 3 or 4 years, and then the fit with what the fit between Embiid and Giannis is a very strange one. But
hold on. Are you buying into this like recent Embiid run right now? Are you buying into this?
Oh, how can you not? Like, I'm a sucker.
What do you mean, how can you not? Because he gets hurt every year. What do you mean, how can you not?
I'm a sucker. I am. I'll buy the ticket every time. I don't care. The way Embiid is playing, and I don't know if you saw the interview that he did after their last game. I think it was it the Sacramento game or the game before? And he was just like, "Hey, I was in a bad place. Didn't know if I would ever come back and play the way that I know that I can play." And to see what he's doing now, I know Embiid's got haters, but it's good to see like a guy like that. I mean, a player like that who's gone through the ups and the downs, to be able to see him perform the way he's been performing the last 2 months is amazing. But the other thing is, it doesn't matter. The Embiid thing doesn't matter because, like, seriously, one of the best players in the league is Tyrese Maxey. It's unbelievable.
So hold on.
He's so good and he's so underrated. Nobody talks about Tyrese Maxey.
I gotta reel you back in here.
He wakes up and drops 40. It's unbelievable.
I gotta reel you back in here and bring us back to Giannis, because the one thing that I find interesting about the Giannis saga, right, and the Raptors is because of so many years of being linked to the Raptors, and mostly because of the ties to Masai Ujiri, and it's always been an easy an easy rumor to live off of, right? I think I found my spot in a position. I found a spot here with the Raptors where I can look at it and say, I get as a fan, hell yeah, you go get Giannis, right? You go get Giannis, and if they would take some package that involves Jakob Poeltl, RJ, or Quick, one of your kids, if not all of your kids, meaning CMB or Grady or Jacoby Walter and picks. You go do that, right? Like, even if you got to take back the bad contract and Kyle Kuzma, you figure that out because it's Giannis, and I still think that he is one of the top 3 players in the league. The flip side to that, though, is I genuinely think that where you are with the Toronto Raptors right now, you don't have to make a big move. You can just like play this out, see where everybody's at the end of the year, and then figure it out in the offseason going forward. Because I think the blessing of this year is just seeing the health of Brandon Ingram, seeing that at his peak, he's still really good. And I know he's still working his way back, but you've seen Scotty Barnes and how much better Scotty can be when you up the level of talent around him, right? And I think that part's been really dope. You're obviously seeing, you mentioned Colin Murray Boyles in the season that he's having. Like, there's no pressure for you as the Raptors. Like, if they make the playoffs, which, I mean, they're in line to do so now, but let's say they lose in the first round in 6 games. Nobody's turning around and being like, oh, that was a terrible season. What a bad, right? So it's like, it's something to build on. Yeah, right? Yeah. So I think in that sense, you don't need to go get Giannis. And I think that leads me to the next talk, which, we were talking about Sabonis. You mentioned Sabonis earlier, and it's
born to be a Raptor.
Well, my thing is that
created in a lab to be a Raptor.
I talked about it last week, so I want to get your take on this. But last week I was talking about how I just don't understand how that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Obviously, we know this story is leaking from the Kings side of things, right? Because the Raptors don't leak information, but also the money doesn't really make sense, because you're going to bring in $40 million to pay Sabonis. The fit on the court doesn't really make sense, because I'm looking at what, how Sabonis fits beside Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. You're kind of clogging the middle. Like, I just don't understand how that move makes sense. And I also think you mentioned your man's Embiid. How Sabonis supposed to guard Embiid in the playoffs? That's, a Shaq and them would say, that's barbecue chicken, right? Like, Jalen Duren, he can't guard him. Like, you're undersized against Mobley and Jared
Allen. Defensively, it's the nice thing when Poeltl is healthy, which is not very often, but he is quite a good rim protector.
Yeah,
for a guy his size. With Sabonis, you're kind of giving up defensively. Like, so he does grab
Sabonis. You want Sabonis?
No,
if you're the Raps.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I think there's more creative plays, like other guys out there who are available at the trade deadline that you may be able to get for a smaller package than what you're going to send to Sacramento for Sabonis. Now, Sabonis is great, like double doubles pretty much every night. He can pass the ball, but you're right. He's going to be that guy in the middle. And right now, the middle of the court is dominated by Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram on those 2-point shots that are kind of at the elbow, at the nail,
Yeah.
So I don't think I tease Raptor fans by saying Domantas Sabonis is born to be a Raptor. Because that is the move that this franchise would make 5-10 years ago. But I think that if my cousin from another mother, Bobby Webster, is smart, he's not going to fall into that trap where I think I don't know. Is it too is it too what am I trying to say, like corny to say a 3-and-D is what this team needs, is shooting and more defense. If you can get somebody who can consistently knock down outside 3-point shots and provide you with defensive prowess on the wing, I think that's what you should be looking for, not a center who's doesn't really play that great of defense.
Yeah, I think the move here, like, definitely they need depth, but I think the center spot, you need a depth piece more. And I think until you know what's really going on with Jakob Poeltl, you can't really make a big move for another center, right? Unless you're trading Poeltl as a part of the deal to get this center. But again, I said it last week, I'd just rather have Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett as opposed to Domantas Sabonis. Like, that trade doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather have RJ than Domantas Sabonis, much less giving up RJ and Yak. So that really doesn't make sense to me. But I also just think that, you're right. The biggest need for the Raptors, I think, is more shooting to put around Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. I think that's the key. If you're out there trying to, like, what's the biggest need? And you would hope, hey, maybe that comes from your point guard position, and they've done a lot more quickly off the ball. Yeah, right. Playing quickly off the ball, letting him play with Jamal Shed in the backcourt, and that's an interesting dynamic that you can have, but does that work long term? I wonder. And that's the interesting part going forward for the Raps, right? We switch gears, though, because we're talking a bit about the Eastern Conference and some other teams. And as we bring Giannis back, if the Raptors don't make the big move to go get Giannis, is there another team out there that you think should go out and get Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Do I have to keep it in the East?
No.
The San Antonio Spurs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Explain.
I want to see the Spurs get Giannis.
Okay.
Because I've got a hatred on for the Thunder.
That's your reasoning. That's it.
And Wemby and Giannis, that could be a big, big problem for the Thunder in the playoffs. That'd be a big, big problem for anybody in the West in the playoffs.
Okay, I mean,
how are you going to score points against that team?
I get it, but I think the Spurs, almost like the same way we were just talking about the Raptors, the Spurs, no, follow with what I'm saying. I'm not comparing the Spurs to the Raptors. But the way that I'm comparing them is that I think where the Spurs are right now, they're building, right? And like, they're legit. They're really good right now. But I think you need to see more of what you have in some of your young pieces with Castle and Dylan Harper. And you kind of want to let that grow a little and see what you got there before saying, hey, I'm going to bring in Giannis. And how's Giannis going to fit beside Wemby? I don't know. Like, are you keeping De'Aaron Fox? Is he in that deal? I'd assume he'd probably have to be for the money, because there's not a lot of guys on the team that make enough money that you take back, unless you're talking like Harrison Barnes.
I thought it was Harper, Barnes, and a bunch of picks.
And why would I do that I would never do that if I'm the Bucks.
But you're going to say that to every deal that comes to you. If you're
then I'm not trading him.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, right?
So then what do? Do you send him home? Do you just shut him down for the rest of the year?
Well, I mean,
so
he's out for the 4 to 6. I try to keep my picks. I try to see what's going on in the offseason. Maybe I can make a move with more picks in the offseason, and I can go get another Like, listen, if I've stated this from the get-go. Me and you have had this debate going back to the summer and last season. I'm not trading Giannis. I'm trying to improve the team around him if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, because I'm trying to go get Ja Morant as a distressed asset. I would have tried to go get Trae Young as a distressed asset.
I thought you said you wanted to improve the team around Giannis.
I'm trying to go do something, is what I'm saying, to keep
but
Giannis.
They've done that. They did that with Dame, and it didn't work out. They did that with bringing in Miles Turner. It didn't work.
Listen, I'm going to keep trying. I'm just not going to give up Giannis, man, to try to sell Harper jerseys. Like, what? No, that doesn't make sense.
Harper's
like,
nice.
I'm running a business. There's so much more that goes into this business than just the basketball, like on the court, right? I got to sell jerseys. I'm trying to sell tickets. There's so much merch that I'm trying to move as well, that I'm not just giving up Giannis for, Harper and maybe some first round picks that who knows where the lottery ping pong balls are going to get me. Right. Like that's always been my answer here with this Giannis thing. And I get it, but I mean, hey, I asked you, you said San Antonio. I think the Golden State thing is interesting, although it's the same position where, like, why would I do that if I'm the Bucks? But if you're telling me the Knicks, I think the Knicks are in a very interesting position here.
But then even what are you going to get back? Towns?
Yeah, you're going to get back Towns. At least that's something, and you're trying to get picks. So the one interesting caveat to all of this, right, is that a lot of teams, whether it's Miami, whether it's the Knicks, even your Philly team, Golden State, a lot of these teams, if they're in the trade to get Giannis, they'd probably have to bring in another team just to help with the assets, right? So you've headline it with Cat, but at least Cat is someone who, I can put on my team now and say that he's an all-star with other assets for the future as well, right? Like, that would be my goal if I am moving Giannis. I'm going to get someone who can play that's not injured Jimmy Butler's contract, right? Or not Harrison Barnes's contract.
Right.
And I'm going to get assets. That would be my hope. Like, again, if dudes are out here getting, 5 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, like, Bridges getting 4, I think it was 4 for Bane, 5 for Bridges, whatever it was. I'm going to get me 2 or 3 picks and a player for Giannis, right? Like, come on, man. That's just where I'm at. But I think the Knicks, if the Knicks are serious about, like, winning a championship, I would go get Giannis. I think,
the problem, he wants to play there. He was like, it's on his list.
Listen, if you were able to turn Julius Randle into Cat and then Cat into Giannis, that might be the most winningest asset management climb that I've ever seen.
He takes the red thread and then ends up with the Ferrari, right?
Right. And so if you're talking about giving up OG and Cat and whatever picks you need to figure it out, make it work, or give up Bridges and Cat to make it work, cool. I'm doing that because at the end of the day, Jalen Brunson is the leader of your team. The other part is Mike Brown has come in, and you heard a bit of it from Bridges after the Raptors game where he's talking about himself and being unselfish more, right? And like, just, I guess, them all trying to understand their role within the team. And their role within the team is Brunson's going to get his shots. Y'all are going to get the scraps of the shots that Brunson's not shooting. Whether you're Cat, whether you're Bridges, that's just how it's going to roll. And you got to buy into that. And, Mike Brown's trying to get people to move the ball. But you know how basketball works sometimes. If I haven't shot in a long time, I'm going to get my shots up, right? I bring in Giannis because Giannis is just an upgrade over Cat. And now you have Giannis in the Mecca, and you're trying to win a championship with Giannis, Brunson. You still have your dogs and Josh Hart. Like, I don't know. If I'm looking at all those teams, it's the Knicks and the Heat should be the 2 teams that go get Giannis right now. Just because I'm not risking it until the summertime or someone else can outbid me. I'm doing it right now. If it's on the table and they tell me, hey, you got to add in Jaime Jaquez into this deal. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Love Jaquez. Jaquez.
But do you understand my point though?
Yeah.
right? I just think that's what it needs to be.
I don't know. I just
No,
the Wemby Giannis combo would be pretty incredible to see. What about the other thing is the Giannis Embiid combo? Like, let's just
stop this.
with
This is where I have to
Maxey.
reel you back in again. Stop
I mean,
this.
a package of PG, Edgecombe, and some first round
You
picks, I
think
think, is a
anybody wants
fair.
Paul George?
He's been playing very well. He's been playing very well when
You
he
can't even say that with
plays.
a straight face.
When he plays, he's been playing very well.
Stop that.
Embiid and Maxey had a combined like 83 points last night. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hopefully we passed our quota of Sixers random takes, but I do want to ask you this. Sticking in the Eastern Conference, though, the Knicks, we mentioned their kind of up and down run, and everyone trying to pin it on, oh, well, the NBA Cup took a lot out of them, and that was their bad streak.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
So you don't think they need a shakeup? Like when you look at them, you look at the Cavs, there's a lot of talk about two of those teams. Like both of those teams were expected to be atop the Eastern Conference. Neither of them are doing that.
Wait. The Knicks
and the Cavs
and the Cavs.
Both expected to be atop the Eastern Conference, especially with no Boston, and neither of them are doing that. Like the Cavs were first last year, no? So it's just like,
and they returned basically their entire team.
So do you think either of those teams need a shakeup? You said you don't think the Knicks do. What about the Cavs? When you take a look at the Cavs, they've been dealing with Garland injury.
The Knicks outside of a Giannis shakeup. I don't know. It's just all those teams kind of from 2 to even 9
just play it out.
Are bunched up. Like the Cavs are a good team. Like as we saw last year, they were a number 1 seed. They returned basically everybody. They're a good 2 weeks from being the 2 seed, from being a 3 seed. So I don't know if I would, if I was maybe another team might be different, but the Cavs, have that core and like you said, Garland's dealing with the injury. Like I said, a 2-week stretch for them, they could be right back in it. So I don't know if I would do a potential shakeup there. That's the funny thing about the East when you look at these teams is like the Heat and the Hawks are the ones that I would think that would be making the big shakeups to try and kickstart their teams on a big, second half run here. But I don't know. The Knicks are pretty solid in terms of their lineup. The Cavs are solid. The Magic, I know we want to talk about the Magic and about how disappointing they've been. They could probably use benefit from a shakeup, but I don't think that they're going to.
Well, yeah,
they spent that capital to get Bane.
Yeah, you tee us up perfectly. Into our Raptors Magic preview. Raptors getting ready to face the Magic. 4th place Raptors at 29-20. Magic in 8th place at 24-22. And, this kind of relates to the Cavs because if you looked at a lot of people's preseason projections of the Eastern Conference, you're talking about, the Cavs, the Knicks, and a lot of people had the Magic up there as well as being, a top 3, top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. And it hasn't really gone that way. But I would ask you, we're at that midway part of the season. Is it time to worry in Orlando or no? Like, what do you think has kind of been going on? I know there's a bunch of different things with frauds. And, tell me what you think the biggest issue is with them.
Kind of a perfect storm of shit. Like they've had the Wagner injury. They spend all the money on Bane, who doesn't seem like the return on investment is there. Paolo, who we thought was going to make this giant leap this year, has kind of disappeared. Like we talked a little bit about the rookies at the top of this pod, and like of those guys, like your Edgecombs, your Flags, your Knipples, like those guys seem like they have way more promise right now than Banchero does, who's almost going through the motions. Now, is it the coaching? I know that, is like there's not necessarily a
There's some
a
whispers.
pedigree. Like, yeah, who is it? It's
Jamal Mosley.
Jamal Mosley. Not exactly a pedigree coach. Does this team need a more? Does this team need a coach who's been around a little bit more, who's coached some of these playoff runs a little bit more than Jamal Mosley has? I don't know, but this they could benefit from a shakeup, but I just don't know if they have any chess pieces to move anymore.
I kind of go the other way. I kind of think they got to preach some patience here. And I just think it's been a season of like them dealing with injuries. And if you go back to what was the downfall of their season last year, it was injuries as well, right? Like Paulo was out, Franz was out for a long stretches, and they were off to a really good start last year. And that season got derailed by injuries. And if you look at this season, it's like, okay, Franz was hurt. They tried to bring him back, and I get it because they were trying to bring him back because they had the games in Germany, right? So they brought him back for that, and now he's out again with more ankle soreness, which isn't good, obviously, right? So that would you can't give a fair assessment yet because we haven't had a long enough run with their full team with Desmond Bane in the lineup, right? And so you bring in Desmond Bane, he's supposed to add to your offense. But now if you bring him in and he's just kind of replacing Franz's offense, right, then it's not really going to hit the same way. And Paulo has been playing the last however many years where it's just ISO ball.
Yeah,
go.
Bucket.
You get buckets. You go downhill. But now when you bring in Bane, the thought is your offense would be a lot more, sharing the basketball, ball movement, and that hasn't happened. And it's almost like you got to try to break those habits that you built up with Paulo, but it's not even his fault because that's what he needed to do the last however many years, right? So they're just in a weird state right now that I think you got to preach patience and hope that when Franz comes back, you can get some form of continuity with your team over the long stretch and maybe into the playoffs. And, the real thing that they got to get back to is playing defense, right? Because this team, their success was at the defensive end, and they've kind of lost a bit of that. And the anticipation was that they were going to lose that, but the trade-off was going to be Bane was bringing you some offense, but it hasn't really worked out. So I think it's just waiting. I think it's just waiting a little bit.
With their defensive, pieces, guys like Wagner and Suggs, they just haven't played enough.
Anthony Black's having a good year too, which is an interesting thing to me because, you always kind of get weary of, oh, it's contract extension time. And now magically all of a sudden, hey, your first round draft pick is looking like he might be pretty good. And it's like, wait a second, where's this been the last couple of years, right? What's going on now? So everything's super interesting in Orlando, but I do think that, you're looking at the two teams in terms of the Raptors and the Magic. And if I told you that those teams were flipped in the standings, it's kind of where people would have thought things would be at the start of the year, right? So it's kind of funny to see. The Raptors, of course, dealing with no Jakob Poeltl, who was they haven't shut him down really, but there's still the last update was there's no timetable for his return.
You don't want to see that.
That's
you don't want to see that.
The blessing has been you've seen great minutes from Mamu, you've seen great minutes from CMB, as you mentioned earlier. So that's been pretty cool. But on the flip side, you just need another big. I think that's the part where the Raptors against some of these other teams are going to run into some trouble because you're relying a lot on Scotty Barnes to rebound. You're relying a lot on a rookie in CMB who hasn't really played. I mean, you're coming off a college season and now your first season in the NBA. Obviously, there's a lot more to an NBA season. So you're worried about him, breaking down a little. Obviously, Mamu was a great pickup for the Raps. He's been incredible. But a game I think the Raptors should win. But at the same time, who knows what the Raptors, on a night-to-night basis, the beauty of the Raptors, I guess the gift and the curse of the Raptors is between their two main guys, Scotty and Brandon Ingram, and then add in RJ and Quick, you don't really like the scoring can come from any of those guys. And when they're all in the lineup, it's kind of tough for you to game plan against if you're the Orlando Magic. So I look forward to that game tonight and seeing where that's going. But before we go, a couple things here, basketball wise, I want to talk to you. The Clippers. This is kind of funny to me just because the Clippers are currently in 10th place in the West, but they're rising. And the interesting part about that is the teams that are around them. You're talking like teams that you definitely think they're just flat out better than, but also, team like what becomes of the Golden State Warriors without Jimmy Butler, like how much do they hang on for? But the reason we're talking about this for real is because of a tweet that, I think it's like a blogger or like a YouTuber that covers the Clippers tweeted out when they were 6-21, a fan tweet from Robert Flom, or otherwise known as @RichHomieFlom, which is a great Twitter handle, by the way. So they were right. Oh, I didn't even do that. I didn't even mean to do that. Damn. So they were 6-21. And he said, quote, "If the Clippers go 15-3 over any stretch, I will print and eat this tweet." That, kids, turned into a whole thing. Nice. And, Clippers fans were printing out those signs and they had them in their stands. They're asking Kawhi about it. And Kawhi's like, basically, like Kawhi in his deadpan voice was just like, "Oh, I don't really know if that's really safe to eat the tweet." Amazing. But the Clippers have done it. They went 15-3 over that stretch, which was the best record in the NBA during that span. In fact, they won their last game, so they're now 16-3. But really, what would you say is the key to this Clippers turnaround? Is it losing Chris Paul? Is it Kawhi's run? Yeah. Is it just a veteran team? What do you put behind the Clippers' success here on this run that's lasted a while now?
I was going to say like the opposite of what's going on with Orlando. Where Orlando is a younger team, still trying to figure it out, and the injury bug hitting them. The Clippers team is a veteran team that has been around for a while. They know how the NBA works, and they seem to be getting healthy. At the beginning of the year, Kawhi wasn't playing, and now he's playing, and they're good. It's kind of as simple as that. The number one thing, though, is
great basketball, man.
Yeah, the number one thing is don't tweet out that you're going to do something crazy if XYZ happens. Because guess what? XYZ is going to happen, and then you're going to be held accountable.
It is such a weird thing, right? If they go 15-3, like such a random thing to say, right? But yeah, I mean, here we are. The Clippers are doing work, and Kawhi, I mean, it's obviously been such an interesting season for Kawhi, but he's playing some of the best basketball of his career right now, right?
You're starting to see the benefits of tree planting. Kind of work them their way through. But no, I think it's, if anything, it's just like they're a talented basketball team. Obviously, Kawhi and James Harden, these guys are really good, but they're also, like I say, they've been around for a while. So these guys are well versed in knowing the ups and downs of the league. So is the Western Conference playoff picture even better with a red hot Clippers team ascending with maybe an injured over the hill Warriors team descending? Yeah, I think that would make for a pretty awesome play-in situation. If you had, can you imagine if you had a play-in situation of the Lakers and the Clippers? That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Right. So we'll see, but I kind of believe in the Clippers a little bit.
Oh, okay.
As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean,
not to make a finals run or anything, but to be a team that can win a first round, maybe upset a team in the first round. I'm looking at you, Oklahoma City.
The Clippers, I mentioned earlier, your hate on Oklahoma City is so weird to me.
We got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Okay, somebody has to do it.
You're like the eat the tweet guy, man. But the thing here too. You're not going to tweet out if Oklahoma City wins back to back. You're going to eat the tweet. No.
No. Are you kidding me? No.
The thing with the Clippers, though, right? Kawhi, 32 points, basically on 50, 43, 92 shooting. Like Kawhi Leonard playing at such a high level, it's just so weird because it's almost like how I talk about your Sixers where and Embiid, where there's always going to be a pause. There's always going to be okay, this is going well right now, but you're there's part of you that's waiting for, the injury to occur where you're knocking on wood. You don't want to see anyone get hurt, but history tells us the Clippers are going to Clipper at some point. Yeah. But I guess for now, if you're a Clippers fan, you got to just enjoy the ride, right? And
it's like the Embiid. It's like the Embiid thing. Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. No, totally right. Totally right. The funny part is, and I guess I can tell this story on the pod. I guess this is a platform where I should tell these stories. But we had the Clippers game a couple weeks ago, and I was looking for a song to use, and I had this song from a Toronto artist that we've used before. His name's Methodist, and he had a song called Go Hard or Go Home. And it's got a bit of like a West Coast sort of flavor beat to it, so leading up to the game, I was like, oh yeah, no, this will work for the Clippers for sure. So the way I work with my editor, right, when we're putting together the openings, and Timmy Haggs for sure, right?
Timmy Haggs, friend of the show.
Yeah. So, he has a song and he's listening to the lyrics, whatever. And, I send him some video and sound ups and stuff like that to put it all together. And through the first listen, he had a part in it where, there's lyrics in the song that are basically like 10 toes deep, running scams, like something to that effect, like what the lyrics are of the song, right? Something about like you're 10 toes deep running scams. And the next part is you put everything in, but got nothing out of it, or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but the shots used were of Ballmer and Kawhi. And I was like, yo, this is so hard, but we can't put this on TV.
Right? No,
like I was like, it's so hard, but we can't put it on TV. Like it was
so
a
call from
right
Adam
because I was just
Silver.
like, well, no. My whole thing was, it's where I have to check myself, and I have the running joke with him where I'm like, oh, I got to go corporate Shelly here, right? And the end of the day, we are like the Raptors broadcast, and I didn't want to be calling out Kawhi Leonard or making it seem like there's some beef with Kawhi Leonard, like it's, oh, you left to go do nothing, even though that might be true, but you don't want to say that because you don't want to make that, what's the tagline? The opinions expressed are not those of the organization.
Tweets are my own,
Right? So I was like, yo, this is so dope, but we can't put that in, man. We got to change it. So as we start tweaking it,
old Shelly that I know who would,
there's a difference.
Blatantly use Kanye West songs over.
What's the Get Indicted hotline right now? What is going on?
This isn't the On Blast podcast. We've changed the name. Sorry.
Yo, yeah, we're doing some wild stuff.
That's it.
Jeez.
Don't get sued. Don't get sued.
Doing a lot of wild stuff back in those days. But no, it was just funny because it's like, okay, we can't put that in, whatever. And then what ends up happening anyways is they announce Kawhi's not playing in Toronto, which, he's been healthy for the last little bit, and then comes to Toronto's like, nah, I'm not going to play. And I think it was he didn't want to answer any questions in Toronto because of all places, where's going to ask him questions about obviously why he left and taking extra money and the whole, tree planting scheme and all that.
What's his uncle?
Dennis. Yeah.
Uncle Dennis. Yeah.
All those questions are going to come in Toronto. So when I saw that he wasn't playing in Toronto, I was like, interesting.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. That tracks. But it means that we would have had to change the opening. We would have to change the opening tees anyways and take out Kawhi. So we were already, it kind of just gave us a head start, right? So we were already changing it to put in James Harden, and, it ended up working. And Haggs, I mean, he cut it and it was dope anyways. And just one of those behind the scenes stories that, one of them that I could actually probably say on the pod for a lot of other reasons, I'll say. But let's close this pod as we normally do, which is what we're watching, man. What's going on?
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have new things, that I've been checking out. I mean, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion I've been watching. But
I feel like I got to do a segment with you and Simon, just because I don't know that Simon is watching it, but my assumption would be heavily.
Sure he knows the players.
Yes.
But
I need you guys to give me a catch up of what's going on there for sure.
Industry was excellent this week. My girl Yaz, who knew that there could be a female cuck chair? But she owned it. She owned it. She was like Drake May or Sam Darnold back there calling the plays. She was, like new offensive.
Bill Belichick.
Hey, listen, new offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, Sean Mannion. She's up in the booth calling the plays down. Hey, here's what I want you to do.
That was an insane scene. Hold on. We can't just skip
the whole episode was insane. The Adolf Hitler painting at the end was amazing.
There's a lot going on in that episode, and the one thing I'll say too about that scene, the smash cut of when she says, I'm paraphrasing, but when she's like, I'm taking back what's mine or whatever the line is, you know what I'm talking about. But the smash cut right to her in the oysters, I was just like, yo, y'all are sick, bro. Like, y'all wildin'. Like, whoever's making this show, I was like, y'all are wildin'. That was like, who came up with that, right? Like, who sat there in the writer's room and was like, it would be really cool right after she gives this most insane line that, like, I beg to think of other lines that could top that line that she gives right after watching her husband and the secretary and like
Sally Draper.
And now she's gonna join in, but it's just like to smash cut like that to the oysters. I was like, y'all are wilding right now. Just straight wilding.
Yaz is on a heater right now. You got to get the ball in her hands because whatever she is doing, it's going in the net. She's cooking. She's cooking right now. But it's great because Industry at this point has become one of the shows for me.
Yeah.
Like it is like appointment viewing. Like I'm watching it as it comes out. That Harper as well on these heaters.
Between Harper and Yaz, like that's a duo. That's a Kobe and Shaq type duo, right?
That's the putting up 80 between them.
Well, if they could ever, but they are Kobe and Shaq. Now that I think about it, it's like if they could ever 100%. Just stay on the same page, they would have a dynasty for a decade, right?
But the downfall is coming. Like the big drop is coming, and it's going to be great. And so, would that make Eric Phil Jackson?
Ooh, I think so. Yeah. I think so.
I like this.
Yeah. If we continue this, hold on. If we play this out, that would make Yaz Shaq. Would Yaz be Shaq then, or would Harper be Shaq? And Harper would be the one saying, "Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes."
Yeah. I think Yaz, for various reasons that we've seen over the last 4 seasons, tends a little to skew a little bit more Kobe to me.
Okay.
Just in some dalliances that have just been going on. Where Harper
so hold on.
Much.
Let's dig more into what's going on with Industry though, because there's so many other like interesting parts of that last episode. Sweet Pea being back, and looks like she's gonna have a prominent role, right? Yeah, that was good. Sweet Pea. I thought that Harper made Sweet Pea bump into what's my guy's name? Rishi on purpose. I think that was I thought that was done on purpose for sure. Yeah. Because he could have came by at any point to drop off, those files, and just happens to be when she has his meeting scheduled with Sweet Pea. So something there's about to happen for sure.
And would that make that little Irish guy at the end who used to work at Kenny? Yeah. Would that make him Rasheed Wallace or
I don't know who he would be.
Because I got a bad feeling about Kenny.
Like he's setting them up.
Oh, big time. Yeah. He doesn't forget what happened with him getting run out of there at Pier Point. I don't
Like
think.
if he brings them up and it's him and what's homegirl from like season 1, Daria, who they also screwed. Remember they had that meeting, was it last season, where they're sitting at the table and they're like, oh, the tables have turned. Now look who's coming begging for help. I don't know. Industry is just on a like wild run right now. And
that's great.
Who knows what's next, but we do know that obviously Yaz and Harper will go down screwing each other again.
And hey, metaphorically and fingers crossed, even mean that. Literally. We could maybe get into some literal on that one. I don't know though. It's an industry. It's that kind of show.
I mean, the way the season's gone already, we've already seen the toys. Harper was, you know what? It sounds like a great time to end this pod. Right
exactly. Speaking of Shaq, right? I mean, you can only imagine.
I'm not even gonna go there. I don't even know what you're doing there, but I have no follow-up questions, no follow-up comments at all. Just gonna say, keep enjoying industry, keep watching, because
if you have any recommendations for us, if there's something out there that's in our blind spot, if Dunk and Egg have been really good, I just haven't been watching the new Game of Thrones yet.
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah,
I was gonna wait. I was going to wait and load them up and then knock them all down because they're pretty short. I think they're like half-hour episodes. So
I was going to do the same with that and The Pit.
The Pit's been good. I'm behind on The Pit, but didn't watch last night's. But that's one for the wife and I.
Yeah,
wife doesn't really get into industry like I do.
I wonder why. Shouts to Yaz, man. Yaz is just on an all-time heater. I don't know if there's like a player in the league doing it better than Yaz right now. Yaz is just on fire. More ways than one. Hopefully you thought this episode of the Canada Hoops Daily podcast was also on fire. But Mr. Webster, where can the good people find you online if they want to rip Joel Embiid or
do that.
Talk more trash to you and your squad, man?
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, the whole thing. It's all the same. It's at @awebster84. Whatever social you're on, hit me up. Let me know what you think of the pod, and we can talk Yaz and Harper. I like that. The Shaq and Kobe corollary. That's pretty good.
Shaq and Kobe is pretty, I mean, people might have some better examples there, but feel free to send those in.
We're old. We can rock with Shaq and Kobe.
But also, like, what a moment in time, right? Like the NBA, as much as they try to make it, there's no like fierce rivalry like Shaq and Kobe. Like, do you remember the anticipation waiting for that Christmas Day game about are they going to dap each other up before the game? Like, do you remember how crazy the streets were when that TMZ video leaked of "Tell Me How My Ass Tastes"? Like, all of these things, like,
and all NBA media does is try to artificially recreate those feelings
that we level had of drama.
And you can't do it. It was so organic. It was awesome.
What a time.
Well, I got Aaron.
Hopefully you had a time here as well. My name is Sheldon Alexander. You can find me on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Same thing for the YouTube page. Also Sheldon Alexander, where you can find all the Canada Hoops Daily content. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Shell Alexander. And of course, as I always say, I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is Canada Hoops Daily podcast, as always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.